Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Gary Caton and I'm here with my friend Sylvia,
Hello, everyone. I'm Sylvia.
and we're going to do a combination today of the Behenian Bulletin and exploring the firmament. We're going to talk about one of the 15 Behenian stars. I've got 13 on the mind for some reason, and uh, and we're also going to talk about some stars that are outside of that. And we've been sort of dividing that up. We had a few episodes of the Behenian Bulletin, and then we had a few episodes of Exploring the Firmament. And today we're going to alchemically combine those two things, and hopefully it doesn't explode or something.
One thing I want to say is that it's a magical time. It's truly a magical time right now.
There's
Yeah.
so
So
much going on. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about, you know,
yes,
and we can work maybe a few of those other things in. I mean, Uranus and Gemini and all kinds of stuff that's going on. I mean, how many planets have made movements into new signs this year? Like all of them, basically, right?
all the big ones exactly. Yes, yes. And we have the retrogrades, but I did enjoy your articles on Mercury.
Thank
It's
you.
so
Thank you.
refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. It's really nice. I'm doing a thing with Kepler College for they have my book for their Book of the Month club. So I'm doing a thing on that later. And if you look at my Substack or my other social medias, you'll see links to that and stuff. So, okay, um, so to put this in perspective, one of the reasons why we're doing the Behenian Bulletin and the Exploring the Firmament sections is because, that was kind of Sylvia's entry into my work. And I did a podcast with Amanda's loves my fixed star stuff too over there at Astrology Hub. And so, but I actually put out a report every month for of six kinds of elections, and the fixed stars and constellations are two of those six. But then we also have like planetary magic, we have decans, we have
Hmm.
lunar mansions, and then I do house-based elections, which are sort of like wealth for wealth, or well, you can do any number of house-based things, but most of the time I do like the wealth-based because I remember I have an older sister, and I remember, when she was 5 years ahead of me, so she was already in her career and like doing pretty well, and I'm still kind of struggling, and she's like saying this or that, and I'm like giving me solutions to problems, and I'm like, you're always telling me to do stuff that's expensive, what the heck? And she's like, she's like, well, after you get a little bit further along in life, you'll realize sometimes the easiest thing to do is just throw some money at a problem. I was like,
Eh,
okay, and I mean, it's true. There's not very many problems that a little bit of extra money won't, at least they may not solve the problem, but it might help, you know.
Yes, and may I say something here for the people who don't know about the elections? I want to say that the work that specifically Gary does is how to utilize, I don't want to say the word use, but how to utilize the magic of your birth chart. The moment that you were born, where the stars were aligned and where the stars are now, how to um, feel the vibe, understand where you're at, and utilize that portal for growth, for your growth in your life, your career, your love life, your protect your home, and all these things. In other words, the stars look down upon us with this magic, this light of magic. And
Mm.
those are the election dates.
Thanks, Sylvia. Yeah, that's a really great point. This is a path of growth, and yeah, like it's kind of hard to grow if you don't have any cash in your wallet. So, I tend not to be super materialist about this whole thing, but it helps.
It helps,
Um,
absolutely. It helps. And when you're in a good state yourself, you don't need to worry or stress about it, and then life just flows.
yeah, it's funny what happens when you relax a little bit and how much more naturally, yeah, everything flows and it just makes life a lot easier. So we have, in terms of the Behenian bulletin, we have Jupiter now is in Cancer. And Jupiter, I don't know if you got to see it the other morning. I was out viewing Venus and the moon. And
So beautiful.
oh my God, and still very high and bright, even though she's in her descent phase, and I wrote an article on Substack about that and relating it to the tarot. So if people want to check out more about that,
I will share that on my Substack as well.
but just below, that was the big shiny, oh, there's the moon and there's Venus. Wow. But if you look down a little further underneath, Jupiter is now coming out as a morning star, making his appearance in the sky in Cancer.
Do you agree that some traditions call that the occult planet? They call the morning star the occult planet.
Oh, that's interesting.
First one, even before the sun, sometimes or right after the sun.
Okay, yes, yes, yes. The yeah, there's a word for it. I mean, yeah, planets that are rising before the sun in some traditions are seen to be like when you're moving an army, you will send a scout ahead of the army.
Yes.
Or if the king is on a mission or going to see, they will bring some guards to, okay, make sure everything's clear. Okay, come. It's kind of like that there's an advance. Um, and in art, we hear the term avant-garde. This is actually
Yes.
the advanced guard. It's
Yes.
funny, artists talking about military terms. Avant-garde means like they're ahead of their time, basically, but it's actually a military term. So there's
Hmm.
so there's kind of like this avant-garde energy now with Jupiter where he's rising ahead of the sun in the morning. So there's this sort of opening into that. And then next month, Venus will join Jupiter in Cancer. And it's really interesting, I've been writing a lot on Substack. It's funny, like I just feel like it was hard for me for a while to get anything going, and then once I got going, it's just like there's all this
It's
stuff.
incredible. I love it. Yes. And
I
I
wrote
remember
an
there was
article
a mo
about the sorry, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
remember there was a moment that I was like, whatever you're writing in other media, I was like, Gary, please share it on Substack so I can make it shareable and send it, because
So
it's
yeah,
so
you
on
got
point.
your
It's
wish. You got your wish. Now I'm starting to go, okay, so wait, you don't want to like oversaturate people or whatever. Um, yeah, yeah. So I was looking at like it's only every 83 years that we get. So when the sun moved into Cancer a little while ago, now it's in Leo, but when the sun moved into Cancer, Jupiter was there also.
Mhm.
That's only every 83 years. And in fact, the United States of America was founded in 1776 during such a year. And so I went back and I looked at like, the history a little bit and to see. And what's interesting also about that is that in these same years you also get eventually a Venus comes along and makes a conjunction with Jupiter in Cancer. And so there's this and it's really, I mean, I love Cancer for so many reasons, but one of the reasons, for me, it's like there's mushrooms and berries. The earth is so fruitful And I tell people all the time, like, think about this for a second. What does it mean that Jupiter is exalted in Cancer and Mars is exalted in Capricorn? Think about this for a second. So, let's say you and I go, Celia, I don't know, we're going like into West Virginia, like where there's a dark sky park, like what's it called? There's a mountain over there. I still haven't been, um, but there, it's like the highest mountain in West Virginia. It's really dark.
Mm,
When you're in the hills of West Virginia, if you break down on the side of the road or something, you might be a long ways from it, right? So
hmm
let's just say we're in the backwoods of West Virginia and the car breaks down, but oh, it's not so bad. You know, we got our jackets and we're like, it's not that we're not going to freeze to death. And then we wake up in the morning, oh my God, look, there's berries and we're eating berries.
mm,
Your Jupiter is like the protector and the provider. Everything's fine, you know. It's not the greatest situation. You're broke down in the middle of nowhere, but your life is not in danger unless there's some weirdos or something, but that's another story.
mm. You have a Mercury of the roads for that
Yes,
protection.
that's right. That's right. But think about this. If we did the same journey in January and we broke down on the side of the road, way up in the mountains, you might freeze to death. You better have like a thing to make fire. You're going to need your survival skills. So Mars is exalted in Capricorn and Jupiter. So yeah, I've been going out. I've been doing a lot of writing, and then I try like every hour to, okay, let me get up from my desk and move around, right? Because
hmm
so one of my favorite things to do is take about a 5, 10 minute break, go outside and pick berries because there's berries everywhere. Like I'll just go eat a handful of berries. I get some movement. I get a nice snack. I get to hear the birds and to feel the sun on my face, you know. Um, it's just incredible.
And
Um,
it's beautiful if you're red, and they're so like the life force. But may I say something about Mars and Capricorn here and
of
Earth?
course. Yeah.
Um, think about the myth of Prometheus in a sense of Mars being the one who represents the fire and brought the fire on the earth. The
Mm.
earth, which I'm writing a little bit about now. Sometimes I get my waves of Mars, and Mars is in Virgo, and I'm all on fire about things. But I'm writing a little bit about the fire, you know, how like the planet Earth was not a friendly place without fire.
No.
It was not a friendly, welcoming, fertile planet before the Earth was somehow stabilized in its relationship with the seven planets.
Mm.
And so Mars brought fire. And so this is when people say why, Mars is in fire, isn't it Mars in fire burning down everything? It's the hearth. It is the hearth that the home is built around, because we can cook, we can create, we can melt the iron. So I'm always thinking about the myth of Prometheus, of this,
Yeah.
bringing the fire from the gods, Olympians, to the people. Just a little bit of
Yeah.
brackets
No, that's
there.
a great point, Sylvia. And think about it, as mammals, we maintain a constant body temperature, right? That's one of the features of mammals. How do we do that? We have a furnace, we have a fire in our belly,
Right.
you know?
The sun is right here in the
It's
third
right
chakra.
here. The fire is the digestive system breaks down food and turns it into energy, you know? And so, but that's a really great point. I mean, we would not be able to live in many parts of the world without fire. Yeah, we could
Yeah.
visit in the summertime, but you don't want to be there if you don't have a fire because it could kill you real quick, you know. Um, but yeah, for now in the northern hemisphere, it's beautiful. There's berries, you know, it's incredible. And when you get Jupiter in that sign where it's exalted, that energy is just, even more bountiful. And so it's definitely something that you would think about capturing. Capturing may not be the right word. Anchoring in a
Mm,
talisman,
yes.
providing a permanent sort of portal into the spirit of Jupiter in Cancer, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then Venus also has, she doesn't have rulership or anything in Cancer, but Venus is dignified by triplicity in water signs. And,
Mm-hmm.
and in fact, there's a section of Cancer where she has what's called bounds dignity. So Venus will have a lot of dignity also, and it's the two benefics, you know, the greater benefic and the lesser benefic in the sign of Cancer, which is all about, you know, being nurtured and have, like that's a really beautiful alignment. And then if that isn't enough, I mean, Jupiter conjunct Venus in Cancer, then we also have, and I'm just going to share my screen here to show people the
Mm-hmm.
star map. Um, we also have the fact that they're going to be aligning up. Can you see this?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. They're going to be lining up with two of the brightest stars in the sky.
Wow.
So here we have the Canis Major, the big dog
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
here, and we have Sirius, the brightest star in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
and which is at about right about 14 degrees of Cancer right now, and Jupiter and Venus are going to be right above that star.
Mm-hmm. Jupiter and Venus are going to be right above Canis Major and Sirius.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I
Wow.
mean, so you have Cancer, like this bountiful, nurturing energy where, you're totally fed and cared for. And then you put Jupiter in there, expanding that. You put Venus in there, making it really, um, I mean, it'd be one thing if we had plenty of berries to eat, but if you and I were fighting, still wouldn't be that great of a time. But you add Venus in, now everybody's getting along, everybody's fed. It's a wonderful. And then if that isn't wonderful enough, everybody's fed, everybody's getting along. Then now you've got this fixed star adding even more energy. And if
Mm,
that isn't enough, down below we have the star Canopus, which is the second brightest star in the sky. And
mm.
this is, I'm such a geek about this stuff, so forgive me, but I have to go on a
I
little.
love it. No, I love it. And just before you go, I wanted to say, and how much we need this at this time. I mean, it's a grace from the divine, from the
No doubt.
stars.
No doubt.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting because of the relationship between Sirius and the Earth. Sirius is in the process right now of coming closer to the Earth. Once upon a time, Canopus was the brightest star in the sky,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
Sirius has now become more bright, and then eventually it will move. It's moving closer, but eventually it will start to move away, and Canopus will be the brighter star again.
I
There's this
see.
really interesting dynamic here of the two brightest ones, and they're kind of in this long, I mean, we're talking about many thousand, I don't even know how many thousands of very long term, but
Hmm.
kind of fascinating that like it's not a stable relationship of who's the brightest.
I love it. It's like the birds changing guard. Again,
Mm,
we're talking about guard. The one is leading and then it goes to the back when it gets tired, and then another one. It's so beautiful, right?
right? Yeah, 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 it's really cool. So now Canopus is part of this. It might be easier to see if I get one of the star maps that's like this. Canopus is part of the constellation Argo. So if you look
Mm,
down up here, you have Venus and Jupiter. Right below that, you have Canis Major and Sirius, and then below that, Now, this is a star that's very southern, so you can
Mm,
only see it from like southern locations. I remember the first time I saw it, we were in the Bahamas,
mm,
and I had never seen it before, and and I could feel the energy in my belly, and it's like, well, it makes sense
mm,
because it's like a southern star. It's like this
mm.
deeper energy. But it's basically in the keel of the ship. So you have this ship that is, and then here's the front of the ship and the keel, and then there's the sails. So there's
Wow.
this ship. This is the ship, the
It's such
Argo.
a beautiful, oh my goodness, it's such a beautiful representation of it and art of it. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Odysseus, Ulysses ship, Argo.
Jason
Oh, Jason in the yes, in
with,
when he went to the golden, yes,
yep,
yes, the monster.
in
Yes,
search of
okay.
the Golden Fleece. Yeah.
Yes.
So, so there's this, and so there's a lot of different ways we could play this. I mean, you could make a Jupiter in Cancer talisman. You could
Mm,
to connect with that energy. It's only once every 12 years, you know, and that alone is like, wow. You could make a Venus in Cancer talisman, you know. You could make a Jupiter with Venus in Cancer talisman. You could make and here's the other thing. There's a concept here that is in alchemy where we talk about the fixed and the volatile.
hmm.
So already we have this hermetic concept of above and below, right? There's the planets
Yes.
which are on the ecliptic plane and they're higher in the sky, and then there's these stars that are lower. So you
Hmm.
have the above and the below, like these. When you combine opposites like this, the contrasting energies together make something more powerful than it's just like you and I, when we come together, we're going to have a more interesting conversation than if it's just me talking because I tend to repeat myself actually, but you know.
But it's definitely the alchemy that
Yeah.
everybody brings something in the table. It is
Yeah.
the connection, the conversation.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
in other words, the whole is more than the sum of the parts. It's not
And an
just me.
exchange.
It's not just me and you, and that equals, you know, one plus one doesn't equal two, it equals three. There's a third thing.
Yes,
There's a synergy that comes out of it, right? So,
yes.
so we have this above and below, but we also have this concept of the fixed and the volatile.
Hmm.
Fixed stars are fixed. Sirius and Canopus they're both at 14 degrees Cancer, and they will be for 72 years. And then they'll be at 15 Cancer, you know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
whereas Jupiter only comes to this place every 12 years. So he's a little more fixed. Venus comes around here every year. So she's
And we spoke about Jupiter's cycle last time, a little bit about developmental cycle, but
that's right.
Venus Venus passes because she moves faster once a year in that way. It's such a magical place to be when I think about it. Can you please for a moment go back to the representation of the boat?
Yeah.
Just for a quick moment, because I see some stars there of Greek name, and then I see
Ah,
some, yeah, and then I see some stars there of
oh.
Arabic names, just to see,
Ah,
because
yes.
this,
Yeah, there's a combination usually of those different names.
yes, and one thing I want to say, Gary, returning back, the reason I right away thought about Ulysses is because Argos happened to be the name of Ulysses' dog when dog returned to Ithaca. When Ulysses returned to Ithaca, the only being that recognized him was his dog,
Argus. Yeah, that's
Argos.
right.
So yeah, and we do have, of course, Argos is a very famous name in Greece for boats and dogs, but we have a sea. a big sea like the Aegean Sea. We have Argos Pelagon, which is Argos Sea. It's very
Ah,
interesting
okay. So
that we
there's a few different variations of this word.
of the name exactly,
Hmm.
and so I don't know exactly the etymology of the word, which will be really interesting to see. But
Hmm.
for example, here the Z, do you see the Greek Z, naos or naos? That
Hmm.
is, it's indicating in the center of the boat a star that is called the temple. Is in
Ah,
Greek the temple, and then there is a Markeb, which is an Arabic name,
yes,
and then we have uh, Avior, which is the basically the aviator, the one who is probably moving, the movement of the boat that
yes,
is
the rower.
the rower exactly. And
Mhm.
then we have Canopus or Canopus, which I know that there is a myth about that. And then we have Pixies, which means Pixies means the compass.
Ah, yes, yes,
Pyxis means the compass.
yes,
It's a Greek word. It means the compass. And so on that star, the star shape, we have a Pyxis, which is showing probably for the sailors of this ship,
yes.
it's so magical and interesting. Do you know a little bit about Canopus to share with us?
Yeah, so depending on who you talk to, these stars are often given planetary associations because we're more familiar with the planets. Like everybody
Right.
knows Jupiter is expansion and good fortune, right? Well, Canopus is considered to have, by Ptolemy, a Jupiter, also Saturn, Jupiter and Saturn influence.
Nature.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
got it. Okay.
And whereas now sometimes some people will say one thing and a different person will say another thing. So with Sirius, Ptolemy says that the constellation of Canis Major is like Venus, but he says that particular star, Sirius, is like Jupiter and Mars. Now, Cornelius Agrippa, who is more like Ptolemy was, most people think Ptolemy was not a practicing astrologer. He was a academic. Um,
He was keeping track. He was writing and keeping like an encyclopedia.
yes, and so it's interesting, like the different opinion. Now, Agrippa was actually doing the same thing, but not for astronomy, for magic. He
Mm.
was, um, and Agrippa says that Sirius is like Venus. He says he uses the word venereal, which means Venusian.
Of Venus, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. One
Now,
thing I can say real quick about Sirius, I can testify um, in it, just going a little back. Remember, you said being in an exotic southern place and being able to see the star. The most stars I was able to uh, um, admire is in the islands of Hawaii. I have a retreat once a year, and this will be the third year we're going. And I
mm,
remember it was a women's gathering at that night, and each and every one, and I think I told you this before, has reported out of the blue they had dreams of Sirius. Sirius came to them and talked to them. They
wow.
had this enamoration with Sirius, this being in love with Sirius. And one thing that we all agreed, it feels like the diamond. Like for us women, it's like, look at that diamond. I want to talk, like I want to be in relationship. I want to talk to it. I want to look at it. There is this love, admiration,
Yeah.
exaltation of the feminine
Yeah. And
that,
for the Egyptians, she was Isis. Yeah. Like
right.
there's no question. Like, Ptolemy says this, Agrippa says this, but the Egyptians, she was Isis. She's very much feminine. So that would be Venusian, right? And
Yes,
that's my
absolutely.
personal experience. Like, she's a lady, without a doubt.
Yes, yes, yes. The enamoration. And women came to the retreat without even me setting a scene. And in the circle, I said, would you like to share a little bit about what's happening with the stars and your revelations? And uh, one after the other, I'm talking more than 10 women, they were like, oh, the symbol of Star Sirius came and it's on my altar. And then we look up and it was shining. It was a portal of Sirius last November, shining bright.
Mm.
And so definitely Star Sirius is a magical star for
Oh,
a
yeah.
talisman.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, And the attributes of Sirius, magical attributes, according to the Hermetic tradition, are Venusian. It's basically it brings harmony. I just want to make sure that I'm quoting this correctly, so I'm bringing out my list here.
That is the
Um,
priest and the magician and the priestess. The priestess goes with admiration, magician goes with facts. I love it. I love it. Do
brings
you remember?
peace and concord between kings and other potentates and between husbands and wives. So I would just say brings peace and concord between people. Also gives favor of the spirits of the air and the peoples of the earth. So there's a favorable aspect to it, but there's also peace and concord. Like, that's very Venusian. So
Absolutely.
so there's this. So now, now the nature of Venus is that she moves around the zodiac once per year. So she's more volatile. She's moving. Sirius is going to be at 14 degrees for 72 years, fixed,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
combine now, but they're both Venusian. Venus is Venusian, and so is Sirius. So when you combine volatile Venus with fixed Venus, it's like both. It's like, again, the high and the low. You get the enduring quality of the star and the moving quality of the planet. It's like it, and again, it's not like, oh, this plus this equal one plus one equals two. It's like even more because it's
It's a
complete.
combination.
Yeah,
It's a
it's complete.
combination. Yeah, yeah. And one more thing I want to say, which it's just occurred to me. Remember, like music. When music, you have, let's say, the drum, you have the bass, you have the bass of it, and then there is a stable which holds the rhythm, and then
Yes.
there is one that is moving. And that in the alchemical world and also in the Hindu tradition is the tantra.
Hmm.
Is
That's a
the
really great
tantra
example, Sylvia. Yeah, music. Yeah, you have the
music?
the beat, the dun 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 dun
Yes,
dun, and then you have the the melody, right?
exactly.
Wonderful. Yeah, and together they create something bigger than either one. If
Yes,
it's great to have a drum circle, but without a melody, it's like it's just kind of like it's really like
exactly.
a low
Together
vibration.
they create a place, and I see in front of me Neptune, who loves music. They create a psychedelic place, and a very potent is what you were saying in proclaiming strongly. You're changing the tides in astrology, honestly, if you ask me, when you're saying we moved from the time of information to the time of creation, of dreaming, of creativity.
Mm,
They're creating this potential. Because if
yeah.
we if we sit there and listen, or if we meditate or practice, the priestess and the magician energy, we will receive this vibration.
Mm.
Is very, very potent, which leads me to the question: what is Neptune doing at this time, and which are these dates? Which are these dates?
Yeah, so yeah, because you have this concept of Venus being sort of like an octave of Neptune,
An octave,
being
exactly.
both of them being artistic or something. So yeah, so Neptune has now gone retrograde. and both Saturn and Neptune are still very close to the zero Aries point. Um, and that is a huge, I don't know, like literally, I could only find three times in history, and I'm talking about like BC history, like 500 BC, like Roman, like the Solon of Athens, like actually Greek, well, not even Roman.
Way back. Yeah.
Solon of Athens, who contributed to reforms to Athenian democracy. There,
Yes, the
there,
laws.
there
That's
was an
it, exactly.
alignment of Jupiter, of Saturn and Neptune near zero Aries at that time. There was another one later. It wasn't the Romans, it was the Byzantine, which is kind of the Romans, but the Western in Constantinople or
The Greeks will fight you very vehemently on that because they're saying they're the Greeks, but it's okay.
Greeks, Romans.
The Greeks will
I
fight you.
don't
But
know.
but
No,
may,
you're
may I
right.
say,
You're right. The
yeah,
Byzantines were a different thing, but
yeah.
that was like 1,000 years later, and then this is the third one. So, and I did a whole Substack on that if you want to look at that. But
Yes,
there's this
something real quick here about that, and which I really appreciate, and then we'll go back. I had a question.
uh-huh.
Um, I find it very interesting what you said about Solon because I remember being in like early school years learning about Solon, and Solon was nomothetis, was considered the entire Greek consciousness as a person who refined the laws. He sat down and he said, listen, we have this dream. We want to make our society better. Let's write it down. We have to write it down. Bring it. It's kind of what you're doing here now in your life. Bring from the dream of the Neptune, which is the fantasy or receiving, and Neptune being also another octave of Mercury, of
Mm,
like receiving the ideas,
hmm.
receiving these ideas, and then, okay, let's write it down. Let's make the
Saturn, make it
list.
real.
Exactly. That's
Wow,
what I
Sylvia, that's a
feel.
great point. Yeah, there was a dream of democracy in the Athenian soul. They had this, and Solon was like, we need to actually get this stuff, you know, put into Saturnian form. We need to like make it real.
And literally write it on stone because they were write on stone and they write on stone. And that
Wow.
was a historical change for humanity, but for human beings viewing other humans beings, I mean, other human beings a little more humane every time, like a little bit better,
Yeah.
more raising our consciousness every time.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I mean, if you think about it, you know, the United States of America is not a democracy. Actually, it's a republic, which is, another, just it's a technical difference, but the democratic process, if you will, was founded by the Athenians, and we are inheritors of that idea that they imagined and then they made real,
And
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 so
and if I may say, if and I'm sure everybody and you agree as well, as the time of Solon, they were going through a crisis.
yeah,
We are going through a crisis right now, and crisis is good because
it
you have to bring
forces you
change.
to, yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's
And
right.
and the last thought about the Athenians, which I was writing about the activation of the temples. I have to cool off my fire a little bit when I'm writing, so I can give the message. But there's Mars in Virgo right now, so I'm completely on fire, and all these planets on fire. Um, you know, the temples, the Dorese, the Doric rhythm or style, it talks about all humans being equal.
Hmm.
I don't know if people are aware of this or is taught
No.
in school. The architecture of the Greek temple meant that all people are equal.
Hmm. Those
And
the
the
Doric
society,
were the sort of the original, they're almost Mycenaean in the appearance. They're sort of
Yes.
more simple.
There is three styles. There is the Doric style, Doricos rhythmos. There is two more,
Ionic.
which Ionicos rhythmos, exactly. And so the one with the curl symbolize feminine power.
Ah,
And
interesting.
the straight one, simple one,
Masculine.
symbolized masculine. And there was one more, which I
Corinthian.
think Corinthian. The Corinthian symbol, it was vine, and it symbolized Dionysus and the celebration of the mystery.
Wow.
And so, and I need to find
But
documentation
you're
for this.
saying the
With
Doric, which is basically phallic, it's symbolizing equality?
if you see the temple, all of it symbol. If you see the
Oh, the
temple,
temple. Ah,
is columns and it's a straight structure.
mm-hmm.
That for the Athenians meant that all the columns, all parts of society hold the structure of democracy together.
Ah, okay. Got it. Got it.
Men, women, the mystery, it all holds the structure of society together.
All of the
And
pieces are
under,
necessary.
yeah,
They're
but an
equal in
equal.
their necessity to hold the thing up.
Yes, because
Wow.
it was equal in it was not like this, it was like
Right.
this.
Right.
Right? And they say in there we're gonna sit and write the laws
Wow.
in the equality. And I really have to find
In the
my
equality, we're going to write the laws. Yeah. Wow.
exactly. In the
Hmm.
space of equal temple, we're gonna write the laws for all humans. And
Wow.
that was the vision of democracy. I really have to find the documentation for this, Gary,
That's
and
great,
and
Sylvia.
share
Thank
it.
you. Thank you for sharing that with us because I think, it's one thing to talk about. It's like, forgive me, but I get a little bit, like, like there's, I've been doing this for 30 years, you know, and so I've walked a lot of miles on this path. And I see people who,
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
and I
That's
see
why we
people
discuss.
who are like, newer and they're sort of like, there's a difference between walking the path and performing the walking of the path. You know what I'm saying? And the same way, there's a difference between talking about equality and being inside equality, writing about equality from the inside. There's a talking about it, and there's a being in it, and there's being on the path, and there's being taking Instagram photos of you walking the path. It's not the same thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I'm really glad you brought that up. Yeah.
This was our best conversation ever, and we came in completely open. Truly, I feel so enriched. I always admire your work, and I have to catch up with it. And that is exactly the priestess, because what I'm finding, the same way you are seeing so many years on the path, what I'm finding as a person who grew up in that culture, like these things, we went to school like in kindergarten and in preschool, and we're
Right.
reading about Solon of Athens and reading about the temple's meaning and equality. So I cannot assume that everybody knows about this. I cannot
Oh,
assume that
unfortunately, no.
scholars, exactly,
Yeah.
the scholars that go to the university, I
Yeah.
love scholars,
You're
but
reading about you're reading about Solon, and I'm reading about Daniel Boone. Two different characters.
exactly. And both important for society, but it just happens that what we're talking about. So I will do a little homework. I will do a little homework
Wonderful.
and I will find those. And so I know we have to close in exactly 1 hour. Please share with us. It's 11:53. Please share with us what is this window and how our friends that are listening to us can make the best out of this time.
Right. So, I mean, the first thing is just go out and it'll be, there'll be, the exact conjunction, of course, as I think it's around the 10th of August. But,
That's the Lionsgate.
on weather or whatever, I would start, early August, get out, in the morning, early morning, um, and look at the sky and be with these beings, you know, and let them speak to you. Like that's my first go-to. Um, and there's incredible and for me, no matter how early I get up, it's tempting to go back inside and like, I don't know, whatever.
Cocoon,
Yeah.
cocoon.
But I might go back inside and like get a little something to eat, but I try to stay around all the way until the sunrise because sunrise is a whole nother thing that's just like this glorious thing.
Glory. It's glory
You
time.
know,
Exactly.
um, and then, so there's various levels with which we can engage with this. Um, but just being with it, participating in the natural phenomenon of this alignment in the sky is absolutely number one. Um, you can sort of like, in a more like ceremonial way, like gather some stones like amethyst or citrine for Jupiter. The herb would be sage, and like a symbol of Jupiter or something, and you can sort of like create an altar or something to honor Jupiter from inside. Um, you could create talismans for this energy so this is like levels of complexity, right? Like just get out there. Easiest thing you
Go to Gary, get a reading, and get your talisman done.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Like,
and that's the idea of me putting out these reports every month is that I'm giving people an opportunity to engage with this at whatever, and there's a variety of levels, like you could
yes,
do
how
you
deep you
could
want to
do
go.
you could do a prayer, like what's called a petition or a prayer, and that's and then you can like draw the symbols on the paper and make like a paper talisman, and then you could like you said, scratch it in stone. Like that's the most advanced. And there are opportunities. Not every one of these alignments is going to be the rest of the things are going to be in harmonious enough alignment to scratch in stone. Because let's say, for instance, that Mars is opposite Pluto. Well, we just went through that not too
Yes,
long
yes,
ago
yes.
when Mars was in early Leo, opposite Pluto and Aquarius. I don't think I want to be scratching that in stone when, even if but this particular alignment this year, we don't have any other things like that would keep us from, so there is even the opportunity for engraving it in stone or metal or whatever is also available. So the whole range of possibilities are available to us. And you want to engage, you don't want to go straight from like, oh, I just found out about astrological magic and now I'm going to start scratching things and stuff. That's
No, no,
probably,
you don't want to mess your life up this way.
well, I don't know if you could mess your life up with the two
No,
benefits, but there is such a thing as too much of a good thing.
yes, there is.
You know what I'm
There is.
saying? You might get overwhelmed with that. So, but all the whole menu is available. So if you've been, working this path for a while, it's absolutely possible to either make a talisman, a permanent talisman for this, or have one made for you. So yeah,
Yes.
that's why I wanted to share this alignment because it's really not only is it rare, but the rest of the heavens happen to be in a
More
cooperative state where they're not
friendly.
interfering with the main energy, and that's so to have this rare alignment and nothing else conflicting with it, that's even more rare.
Oh,
So yeah, it's really
yes.
beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing with
Thank you,
us.
Sylvia. Yeah, it's
Thank
wonderful to
you
see you.
so much. Thank you.
All
And
right.
there is one more thing I wanted to share with you and everyone, and then we close and we will set, Gary said that we'll set a date later for August. Um, having Jupiter, there is a whole, of course, entire discussion about Jupiter. And as Gary said, there is a thing like as too much of a good things. can be too much. Because I have Jupiter in Cancer, I am experiencing, and this is not the first time that this happened into my intuition and perception, um, this sense of mutual reception of where everybody is Jupiter to me right now. Neptune is Jupiter to me. Even Saturn is so the too much of a thing is too much, and too much Saturn is Jupiter. So I'm experiencing this Jupiter buzz,
That's
you know,
what
like
Jupiter does. It's cohesive. It brings together. It has as the king of the Olympians, he kept the whole thing. And so all of these, and in fact, think about it. We think of Hermes as the messenger, but the messenger of whom? Of Zeus
of Zeus, exactly,
and the
exactly.
rest
And
of the
so
Olympians. But
it,
so that's, yeah, that's really a great point because that's what Jupiter does. It coheres, it brings things into
puts it
cohesion,
together.
coherency. There's a
Yes,
coherency, and in that coherency, everything feels a little Jupiterian.
yes, and I was writing, and some people ask me this question. They say you talk about Uranus being the thunder of change, but the thunder was ascribed to Jupiter, and right now I'm feeling that Uranus is Jupiter, like even 1,000 times more Uranian. That
There's a similarity and and I mean we could go like seriously
yeah,
down
it's
the rabbit
another
hole here, but
discussion.
I mean
Yeah.
Uranus is kind of Jupiter's granddaddy, isn't he?
Right. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Before, exactly.
the
But
Titan.
yes, more to talk about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sylvia. It's wonderful to see
Thank you.
you. Blessings.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Blessings.
Blessings, everybody. Enjoy Venus and Jupiter in Cancer. Bye for
Yes.
now.
Bye. Thank you.